She wanted a bottle of water out of the refrigerator, but it's locked.
That'd be too much fast?
It's no big deal, it's okay.
Okay, so we have all those things and we're going to get ready to get this class started. In front of you is going to be the booklet that we're going to use. It's called the Family Finance 101 booklet. This is the booklet that we're going to be going through throughout the course of the class. So when I come to a point in the class, I'll instruct you when there's time for you to use this financial improvement worksheet. So on my left-hand side, which says household needs, as we're going through each segment of the class, if this is applicable to your household needs, then you'll check off those things on the class that you have, desires to have a consultation with. On the right-hand side, it'll be the complimentary consultation, which things I believe that I need to talk to a professional about one-on-one, okay? So that's basically what that is. At the end of the day, at the bottom, when you're finished, you're going to sign off on that, and you're going to pass that back up to us at the end of the class, okay? And we'll get you a copy of it as well, so that won't be a problem. All righty? Okay. So as we're about to get some water, let me introduce myself again. My name is Dale J. Duransburg Jr. I am the founder and president of Duransburg International, the Learning Institute for Financial Education. And today what we're going to teach you is how to become financially stable. We're going to teach you about 132 principles of financial success. We're not going to sell you any products or services in this class. We're basically going to help you vet professionals in what I call the 7 spheres of money. What are the 7 spheres of money? That's from banking, insurance, financial planning, mortgages, real estate, legal, and pre-need. So at some point in time in your life, you're going to go through every 7th sphere of money. The question is, are you going to go through it by yourself, or are you going to go through it with a professional team sitting side by side with you, giving you the best information in the industry for you to make the best quality decisions? How many of you would like to have the professional sitting side by side with you? By show of hands. Absolutely. The second thing that you're going to get from this class, upon your request, you're going to get a 20-page comprehensive financial written plan. Now, this financial written plan will go over a variety of different things. It will go over your debt-to-income ratios. It will go over your monthly cash flow. It will go over asset preservation. If you have kids, it will talk about how to put your kids through college. It also talked about how to get out of debt. How many of you would like to get out of debt by show of hands? Absolutely. So this 20-page report is available to you upon your request. That's the second thing that you get from the class. The third thing that you get from the class, you actually get the financial work booklet. So you can actually take this booklet. If you choose not to work with someone in part of our organization, you can go sit down with professionals and interview them to find out if they're the right professional for you to work with, okay? And then the fourth thing is the actual complimentary consultation. So you get 4 definitive benefits from this class. No matter what you do today, these are available to you upon your participation. Does that sound like a great deal? Okay, that's a total value of about $1,100 if you were to go into the marketplace and actually hire somebody that has our background, our experience. We have 85 years of experience in professional services through the 7 spheres of money. All right, so what we want to do real quickly, this is audience participation. I'm going to call on you to answer questions. There's no right, no wrong questions. But the most important thing about this is that the more you participate in your financial education, the better you are going to get down the road. There's no, bad answer. There's no great answer. The thing is to participate. And I always give people an example. There's a great commercial on right now where this lady is at a restaurant with her friend, and she's asking the waiter 100 different questions about what's on the menu. But then all of a sudden they cut away to the medical office. She's sitting there with her doctor, and the doctor says, "Do you have any questions?" And she has a dumbfounded look on her face. That's the wrong time to stop asking questions. The right time to ask questions is when you have your professionals in front of you, because that's the way they can better serve you. And also to find out if they actually know exactly how to help you in a particular industry. Remember this, every professional is not equal in their experience or their skill sets. They may have CPAs, law degrees, but if they're not taught specifically for an industry in your actual need context, then they may not be the right person for you to work with. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's get started real quickly. We're going to turn the page to the very first page. And what I'm going to ask someone to do, there's some small words down at the bottom. I would like somebody to volunteer to read that small print at the bottom so we can get the class started.
Disclaimer, this information is general in nature and is distributed for the sole purpose of education.
Exactly. What does that mean? If you don't have a professional that you're working with and you hear something that sounds real good to you, don't run out and do it by yourself if you're not a professional. Run out, call that professional, or if you have one you're working with, call him or her and say, "Hey, I found some information. I want to sit down and run it across you and see how this actually applies to my life and can make my situation better. Does that make sense? But most people usually do complete opposite. They go out and they try to figure things out on their own. And in this situation, you end up getting yourself in trouble. Okay? So let's go right to the class and let's open up and let's find out a little bit about the Learning Institute for Financial Education. Okay, again, this is a program that's been designed by our experts. Again, we have over 85 years of experience through those 7 spheres of money. We actually have helped since 2002 hundreds of people become financially independent. First, consumer debt, free. That's the first thing. If you want to get control of your life, you need to get control of your consumer debt first and foremost. All right? The second thing is this class is built where it's at a layman's level. It's built on a 5th grade educational level so that we never talk above you, so that you can always be relatable and we can be relatable to you. And you can also feel comfortable that you can ask questions that you have in your heart that you need to have answered without feeling intimidated. Does that make sense? Okay, great. So we're going to teach you how to live debt-free and become financially secure. Now, we've been able to help people to do it in 12 months. We've helped people it's taken long as 5 years. But the question is, if you can get debt-free in 5 years, will that give you a better leg up than where you are today? Absolutely. And then third but not last, but the complimentary consultations. These are endorsed by businesses, churches, and schools across 7 states. And since we've been doing this since 2002, it's not anything new, but it's basically a new program that's being brought to you here at the credit union so that you can become debt-free and then you can help your constituents and your clients become debt-free and give them better advice to use the tools to better increase their lifestyles through the financial assistance that you can provide for them. All right. So again, here's the complimentary consultations upon request. We're not going to badger you or anything. If you don't request, we don't, infer and we don't get in your way. But if you request, we're going to make ourselves available to you. But you have to step up to the plate and say, this is what I need help. So accounting, legal, real estate, credit unions, obviously, we work with a few of them, financial services, insurance, and pre-need. We found out that people generally have 4 out of those 7 that they have questions about in some shape, size, or form. So you won't be anybody new. And if you check off a lot of them, guess what? The first time I went through this class, I checked off a lot too. But again, it took me about 7 years to become debt-free once I started using the tools of success. So don't be alarmed if it doesn't happen overnight, but stick to the course. With help, you'll get to the road of success. All right, so what we want to find out, how many of you are totally debt-free? How many of your members are totally debt-free? How many of you know the quadrants of credit and what real credit is? So we're going to interact with you to figure out, what are your thinking processes and what is going to make you successful, as you move down the road to success. Does that make sense? Okay. So with that said, let's go here. Actually realize, let me move over to this one. There's so many different slides.
Man, that's a lot of stuff on that desktop.
Isn't there? I might have to hire you to help us out. Let's see here. Okay. Yeah, but that's actually the second one. Okay. And it's going to show you no one's perfect. And the life of success that we all.
Nobody but Jesus.
There you go. So one man walked on the water.
I have allergies.
Two.
If I knew, I should have died first.
Okay, there we go. Okay. There we go. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to teach you how to educate yourselves. Okay. So first thing you want to do is you want to start becoming a student of finances. What does that mean? Well, primarily the reason why we gave you a book to get started is that I would encourage you to read at least one book a year, minimum, about finances in some capacity. One thing that I do every year is when the new tax codes come out, albeit it may be boring, I pick up a new tax code booklet. Why is that? Because when you're sitting down with your accountant, you're sitting down with your legal advisor, your financial planner, guess what? No one knows everything. At the same time, they don't know what's going on with you 24/7, 365, correct? But if you sit down and something is on your heart right then and there, and you can actually point a reference point to them and say, you know what, I came across this, that Roth IRA conversion. How does that, affect me, or does it have any impact on my life this year? But if you don't know that question again to ask, and you haven't done a little bit of research, how can that person help you? Right now, today is April 6th, right? Tax day is April 15th. Now, if you all of a sudden pick up the phone, call your accountant, and haven't talked to him or her in the last year, what are the odds they're going to be able to help you effectively? If they're really good at what they're doing, they're extremely busy right now, right? So what we encourage people to do is to start picking up books and start becoming students. If you have the time to go to the movies, you have the time to have a good time, then you should have time to go grab a book to educate yourselves. Because if you have kids and you have grandkids, guess what they're going to do? They're going to do what you're doing, not what you tell them to do. So lead by example. So the first thing we do is we are students of our business. And that enables us to impact you with the most important information that's appropriate right now. Because there's a couple of major things happening this year that you want to be, aware of. You want to know about the tax repeal, law at the end of this year. What they call estate tax. That law is going to be repealed at the end of 2010. Also, Roth IRA conversions. You may be applicable for a Roth IRA conversion, but if you don't know who to ask or how to ask, guess what? You may miss the boat on it. Now, you know that by April 15th, if you haven't started a Roth IRA, you can start one by April 15th and actually take money from 2009 and fund it for this year. Anybody know that? See, that's a major benefit, but you're excited about getting a tax return, right? How about take that tax return money, put it in last year's Roth IRA, get the interest build up, even though the year's already gone, and keep moving forward because it's tax deferred and it's tax free, okay? So those are some things that you want to know. Just that tip alone could be a value add to you. Would that make sense?
Yes.
Okay? If someone could just cue the young lady in of what to do and what to fill out since she just came in, because we want to stay on course. Okay? So, let's get ready to go to the book. Let's talk about where America is headed. So let's turn the page, and we're going to talk about why financial education. So I'm going to start off, since we have one person already volunteer to read. It says, I have enough money to last me the rest of my life unless I buy something. Anybody ever heard of someone named J. Paul Getty? Ever heard of Getty Images? You see the high gloss pictures and all the publications most of the time? Well, J. Paul Getty used to be an oil multi-billionaire. And basically, he was one of the first of his kind. So he was pretty good with money. So why not have a quote from him? He's no longer here, but he has a foundation and of wealth, and he's going to teach you some principles indirectly. Okay? The second thing, a budget is a mathematical confirmation of my suspicions. Okay? How many people here, by show of hands, actually work on a budget on a monthly basis? Okay. All right. Guess what? Then guess what? We're going to help you get on the budget. Guess what? I was in the same situation. You're either working with one or you're not working with one, but actually, you are working with one. It may not be the best one for you. Okay? So, let's look at where America's headed. First question. This is fill in the blank. So I'm going to give you the answers. So you're going to take your pen, you're going to fill in the answers. And if I go too fast for you, don't worry, we'll get that information for you. Okay? So the first one, give you an example. Total household debt has soared to what percent of our disposable income? Total household debt has soared to what percent of our household income? How many people want to give a stab at that? What percent do you think of our household income goes towards that category?
80%.
8%? That was close. It's a little bit higher. 98%. 98% of your total household debt is taking up your disposable income. Think about it. We're in a recession, right? All right, okay. So the average American now spends approximately what percent of what they earn? The average American spends 1%. How much?
100.
100? That's close. It's a little bit higher.
What? 110.
122%. 122%. Now we may be going back down to 100 because of the recession, but as of last year it was 122%. Okay? Now in 2003, albeit that 7 years ago, more Americans declared bankruptcy than graduated from college. More Americans declared bankruptcy than graduated from college. Can you believe that? Do you know what the average person who filed for bankruptcy ended up filing for bankruptcy, how much money they owe? You know how much it was? It's a startling $5,000.
Wow.
$5,000. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, that's shocking. $5,000 and you ruin your life for 7 years. That's the average person. And the average person could have avoided bankruptcy if they had an extra $385 a month coming into their household. Extra $385 a month. Isn't that something? Wow. Okay, great. So let's go back to the class real quick. 90% of those people filing bankruptcy qualify for what class? What class you think they're in? The upper class, the lower class, or the middle class?
Middle class.
That's right, the middle class. Guess what? We're becoming the world of the have and the have-nots. And America used to be the last bastion of hope, but now with the way the laws are rapidly changing, either you're on the right side of the equation or you're on the left side. There is no middle ground. So you got to figure out right now for your legacy which side of the table you're going to be on and what are you going to do to start getting in play to be successful. First thing I want to do is commend you because you're here this morning at 8 o'clock in the morning and you're taking a class that can benefit you and your family. So I'd like to give you a round of applause. Good stuff. All right, so let's talk about savings. And here's where America is headed. Okay? Here's an illustration. It dates basically about 9 decades, from the 60s to the 2000s. And this does not include your home or your car. Americans are now over $2 trillion worth of consumer debt. So when you went out and did your Christmas shopping, your Easter shopping, and your kids shopping, studies show that 90 days after you made those major purchases on stuff, you can't even know or understand what you spent your money on. I mean, there was a great item that just came out the other day. Anybody seen that advertisement? What just came out that's been marketed big time with the iPad? That's right. You know, people are lining up to get the iPad. Well, how many people actually need the iPad? But they're going to go out and drop $600, $700, $800. You know, I was on the phone making my calls too. Man, that looks nice. And then I thought about it. I said, you know, let me think about it for 24 hours. I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wait till the price goes down. Because I remember when the iPhone came out and it was overpriced and a lot of people started complaining. And 3 months later, they cut the price in half. How do you think the people who bought it before felt? They didn't feel too good about it, did they? But as marketing, understand this. The merchandisers know more about your habits than you do. So we want to flip the script, okay? We want you to be the boss of your habits and not them be the boss of you. That make sense? Okay, great. So conversely, if we're spending a lot of money, what are we doing when it comes to our personal savings? We're doing just the opposite, right? Look at this. From 1960 to the millennium, can you believe this? At one point in time in America, we used to be a one-income household. You guys remember that? You know, in the early 70s and even in some portions of the 80s, there was just one breadwinner in the house. Now today, there's 3, 4 different breadwinners. We're actually making more money than we've ever made, but we're actually worse off. Why is that? It's because of our habits. We're not good stewards of what we've got. We believe more and more and more makes us feel better, but in actuality, it's actually the opposite. So right now, we're saving less than we ever saved at any point in time in the history of America since the Great Depression. This is the second one, and it's being harder for us to come out of it than it was the first time because technologies and global competition. Does that make sense? All right, well, let's go back to the book and let's give you some answers, okay? Let's talk about savings. It says, the saving man becomes the free man. The saving man becomes the free man. In the book I read, it says, owe no debt to no man. He who owes debt is the what? Slave, right?
Yes.
So why don't you become the lender and stop being the slave? Does that make sense? Okay, great. So today's average American now saves what percent of their income? 1%. You know what? It's now 2%. But it used to be negative 1 and 2% just 3 years ago, but it's 2%. And that's not a lot. Did you know that China saves about 29% of their take-home pay? Do you know that their average median income is only about $30,000? Do you know who's the number one holder of our debt in the world?
China.
China. So how is that? How is it that their average household income is about $30,000, but they save almost 30-something% of their income, and they hold most of our debt?
That's they ride bicycles everywhere.
Yeah. Well, that's it. You've been trained to be a consumer of their products. Nothing wrong with that. But again, all right. So let's go back to the book real quick. Americans are saving less than at any time since 1933. Americans are saving less than at any time since 1933. Ladies, what was going on in America in 1933? Wouldn't know. But your grandparents knew. It was the Great Depression, right? And your grandparents would say, hey, a penny saved is a penny earned, right? And they would hold on to their money very tightly, okay? So we should start applying those same principles, even today. So let's go back to the book real quickly. Now, the average baby boomer needs to accumulate approximately $1.5 million in a retirement fund if they expect to receive any income into their 80s. That's $1.5 million. And you would think, wow, man, that's a lot of money. But guess what? That's based on you having a household income of about $50,000. Think about it. How long are people living today the advent of technology, eating better, taking better physical activities, people are living into their hundreds nowadays. So it's no big deal. I mean, my wife's grandmother just passed away and she was like 89. So this is a very applicable example. But then think about it. If I have $50,000, I retire at 65, right? That gives me another 20 years to live at $50,000. That's $1 million right there, right? So it's not rocket science, okay? So let's talk about education. Who will be kind enough to volunteer to read that paragraph right there about education for us, please?
Your financial life is like a garden. If you tend a garden carefully, nourishing the flowers, pruning and weeding, it's going to be a lot more beautiful than if you just water it half-heartedly now and then. Susie Orman. Oh, that's that financial lady.
Exactly. So when's the best time to grow a tree? Anybody? Yesterday was the best time to grow a tree, but the next best time is to start today. So if you don't have any trees to block the hot heat in Houston, guess what? Let's get some acorns and start dropping them in the ground. All right? Okay, so let's move right ahead. Most Americans lack training in basic financial skills. Most Americans lack training in basic financial skills. Now, I want to show you a startling example that came out almost 8 years ago, but it's very applicable to today. This is an article that was in the USA Today on April 22nd of 2002, and it was by a group called the Personal Financial Coalition for Financial Literacy. And what they did was they took a test between people who were 50 years of age and older and 12th graders who were seniors in high school, so seniors and seniors. And they gave them 4 basic questions to answer. And on those 4 basic questions, one of the first questions was, what's the difference between a money market and a certificate of deposit? Do you know that only 52% of the seniors in high school answered that question correctly? Now, only 89% of the senior citizens answered that question correctly. Now, another question they asked, they said, if you invest in the stock market, are you guaranteed a rate of return? What do you guys think? Absolutely no. Do you know, again, only 70% of the 12th graders said no, 30% said yes. And 9% of the seniors said, absolutely you're guaranteed a rate of return, but the answer to that question is no. Okay? Another question that was asked of them, what's the difference between a B share and a C share and an A share in a mutual fund? And only 40% of the senior citizens actually knew the correct answer to that question. So what does this tell us across the board? You know what it tells us? It tells us that we live in a multi-illiterate financial world today. Because what are our kids going to do? Are they going to do what we tell them to do? Or are they going to do what they see us doing? They're going to do what they see us doing. So the best example is your own personal example. That's the most important. It says right here, the real problem isn't how little students know about finances, but how woefully ignorant their parents are about the subject. Now, we all make money and we work hard to make good money, but if you're not studying money and books about how your money works, how can you be the best steward if you don't have a team sitting around you? I mean, that's the reason why I like the way this class is laid out, because when you're sitting in front of your team of advisors, they should be sitting here and you should be sitting right there. And you should be asking questions to each and every one of them. Say, what's the best information going on in that industry right now? And I want you to talk together amongst yourselves to give me the best advice. There's a book I'm reading right now called The Game Changer. It talked about how the presidential election of 2008 came across. He gave both sides of the situation. He gave the Democrats and the Republicans and independents. And it talked about how the whole teams came together at each caucus and figured out how to win. And it was amazing how these people would get together and gathering data day by day, minute by minute, to actually make major changes within 2 to 3 days of an election. Why aren't we doing the same thing? Because we don't know, right? But now that we know, if we don't, then shame on us, right? All right, so let's go back to the book real quickly. It says the average score for the high school seniors on the financial literacy test was 52.3%. That's a failing grade, 52.3%. Less than 5% have taken a course or seminar on financial planning. Less than 5% have taken a course on financial planning or financial education. Only 4% of all Americans follow a financial written plan. Remember I talked about the written plan? So guess what? Every month, at least 1 hour, you should be looking at your financial program and saying, where am I at on my roadmap to success? You know, when you get on the airplane, how many people have been on the airplane? Do you want your pilot and co-pilot checking out the itinerary? Absolutely. They go through about 152 different checkpoints before they take that plane off the ground. Why aren't we doing the same thing in our finances? Because we don't know, right? But now that we know, we should start applying those principles to be successful, correct? All right, so let's go back to the book here. The bottom line here, ladies and gentlemen, minds are like parachutes. They only function when they're open. That's the bottom line. Most Americans never learn the fundamentals of financial success. Most Americans never learn the fundamentals of financial success. Now, if I were to stop this class right now at this minute, would I have given you a value that you can go forth and get a little bit better in asking questions or trying to figure out how to go get information? Well, we're not going to stop here because we're going to give you even more, all right? So let's turn the page real quickly. Let's find out how successful you are financially. Can I get somebody to volunteer to read that caption at the top of the page, please?
A bank is a place that will lend you money if you can prove you don't need it.
Man, how many people come here to the credit union and you turn them down because they need it, right? Yeah, is that something? It's almost like celebrity. When you are struggling, actor at the cafe, washing dishes and serving people, nobody cares who you are. But when all of a sudden you jump on the screen and you get your break, oh man, you came out of nowhere. Well, what about those 15 years I was working in obscurity, honing my craft? They don't want to give you anything until you have everything. So guess what? We need to get you to getting stuff. All right? So here's what we want to do. Achieving financial success means different things to different people. What would achieving financial success mean to you? What I would like you to do is take about 30 seconds and write down 2 definitions of what financial success means to you. And I'll give you an example. One of our 2 definitions, my wife said she wants to have the ability to write a check and never have to worry about the balance in our checking account. My goal also is to have $1 million in the bank by 2015 so that I don't have my kids to worry about anything. Okay? So those are my 2 examples. So why don't you write down what 2 examples for you are, and they're all right. Okay? And then when you finish, just look up. And then when we do it, we'll ask you to share one of them with us, please. Because our goal here today is to help you hit your goals. And your goals are the most important goals to us. Alrighty. Looks like Ariel, you finished. You want to share one of your goals with us?
One of mine is to be debt free.
Okay. What about that house you were telling us about?
Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. Anybody else? You want to share one with us, Michelle?
Debt free as well.
Debt free, all right. Anybody else? Seems like that's a comment. Is it Teresa? Terry?
Travel without having to budget the cost, just buy the ticket and go.
There you go. You want to be part of the Pom Pom Club, right? Plenty of money.
Just pick a place.
There you go. Plenty of money, peace of mind. That's one thing I love about my mom. My mom gave me the dream because she's traveled all around the world. And that just led the example for us. So that's a great thing. Anybody else want to share one with us?
Pay off my house.
Pay off your house. There you go. You'd be a lot less stressed, wouldn't you, if you knew you owned your house outright, right? And you could make a lot better decisions on things that you don't want to do, right? Here's what Denzel Washington said in the movie American Gangster. Not that I promote that movie, but he had a great line in it, though. He said, you got to do what you have to do to have what you want. And it may not always be sexy, may not always be convenient. But if you do those things, then you can make the choices that you don't have to, negotiate with. So that's great. So let's move right along. Let's talk about the lifestyles of the financial successful. Statement number 1 in this chapter. They spend less than they earn. They spend less than they earn. Okay? They operate their family finances like a successful what? Business. That's right. Do you all realize that you are operating a business? It's called your personal economy. I was telling my wife this the other day. I said, hey, everything that we do, we have to look at it from a business perspective because the people who are selling and marketing to us, they look at us as a business. So we need to look at them as a business. Make sense? That way we'll be on the same page with them. Now, they direct discretionary spending towards accumulating assets. They direct discretionary spending towards accumulating assets. Okay? What are assets? Assets are things that pay you when you're not performing. Okay? If you have a house, you have a business that's pulling money into your pocket, that's an asset. But guess what? If you live in that house and you're paying, insurance, utilities, maintenance, that's not an asset for you right now today. That's an asset on the bank's ledger. Because something happened to you, does that house continue to pay you or you have to pay that house? You have to pay that house, right? That's right. My garage opener just went out the other day. I was like, man, what's going on? just a pain, just that little pain. I gotta go get that fixed. But on my rental property, when I get that check every first of the month, man, I'm excited. Automatic 1201, oh man, that's a beautiful thing. That's an asset, okay? All right, so let's go back to the book real quickly. Assets are things that produce income now or in the future. Income now or in the future. Now, people who are successful, they pay themselves first or second. First or second, never third. Now, this may be a struggle for some people. Say, well, man, I got these bills coming in. Well, guess what? You pay yourself, that should be a bill too. Since 2002, my wife and I put away $1,000 every month, rain, sleet, or shine. That's not easy, but guess what? It's a bill. It's right there, my Roth IRA, my money market account, my OOPS account. Those are paid regardless of what we do. So if you start establishing that, even if it's $1 a month, pay yourself first, because your mind will start working 24/7 to figure out how to accomplish that goal. Anybody discount that? That your mind doesn't work when you're not even thinking about it? It does, okay? So the next one is they do lots of little things right. They do lots of little things right. So let me give you an example of the benefits of living smart, okay? The average person who works in America works about 40 years in their adult lives. They work 40 hours, 40 years, 40 weeks, all right? And here's what we're going to subscribe to you. We're going to say if you were living smart and you had a 9% return on everything that you did. Now, I don't mean just in your stocks and your mutual funds, but I mean if you went to the grocery store and you had a coupon to say 50% off or something, that's a savings, right? Is it not? Okay, so if you use $5 worth of coupons at the grocery store each week, didn't I just say that? Guess what? They just had on 2020. Anybody ever watch 2020 on Nightline? Yeah. 2 weeks ago, they gave two people $50. One person went to the ABC store, another person went. Both of those people came out of the store with money in their pocket and over $150 worth of groceries by using coupons aggressively. I wrote that website down. I said, honey, I'm going to make us some money every time we go to the grocery store from here on out. I mean, just think about it. They're paying people to go shop for the stuff that we need. But only the educated people win. So why aren't we winning? Because we didn't know. But now that we know, guess how much money you're going to save? $101,000. Okay? Now, don't buy $10 worth of lottery tickets each week. Now, I know nobody here is a lottery ticket purchaser, because if they were, they wouldn't be here. They would already won millions, right? $203,000, right? Now, don't buy a pack of cigarettes each day. I mean, that's an expensive habit, and that alone is not even that healthy. How about over $500,000 of savings? Could you use that? Now, take your own lunch to work each day. A lot of people are doing this nowadays, but 3 years ago they weren't, because money was coming in like, rain. $500,000. Okay? Now, drive used cars instead of new ones. I can't remember the last time I had a new car, but I'm not saying have a beater, but I'm saying buy the cars a little bit more judiciously. How about $869,000? So guess what? If you don't change your income from today, but if you start applying some of these little, secrets of success, you can put $2.3 million in your, wealth, income bracket versus somebody else's, because you have this money. And this is based on people's household incomes about $50,000. Can you imagine that? They also had, I think it was last year, they had a lady who retired as a librarian in New York. And she never made more than $40,000 a year. But when she retired and passed away, she left to a foundation over $3 million. Yeah. So how was she able to do that? Because she was living smart. You ever watch that program come on here called Living Smart? Everybody want to live smart? Absolutely. Okay, so let's go back to the book real quickly. That was my PSA. All right, they go into debt reluctantly and get out quickly. They go into debt reluctantly and get out quickly. They seek financial advice from professionals. Do you go ask, Uncle Bubba or Auntie, Jane if they have never been successful for financial advice? No, absolutely not. You go to the guy or gal who's making millions of dollars or who's debt-free. Okay? Does that make sense? All right, so let's move right ahead. They follow a financial written plan. Again, a 20-page report talking about how do I hit my retirement. How many people want to retire in peace without having to go back to work? Absolutely. How many people want to have a little cash set aside to travel when they want to travel? Absolutely. How many people want to protect their family? Absolutely. Just basic stuff. Now, the stuff we're talking to you about is basic, but guess what? The question is, how many of you are using it on a daily basis, a monthly basis, a yearly basis? How many of you have people sitting down with you in those 7 spheres of money advising you? And it's affordable. Would that make sense if it were affordable? That's one of the reasons why people don't get advice. They don't think they can afford the advice. But I would challenge you, if you can afford to spend $20, $40 a month on cable, you can afford to get the best advice. Because that's close to $600 a year. If you spent that same money sitting down at the table, you could double that money. Anybody want to challenge that? Yes or no?
Yes.
All right, so let's move right ahead. Okay, tell you what, I'm going to give you 3 great excuses to fail in case you don't want to apply these principles of success. All right? Number 1, I'm not financially successful because I don't have a high income. My boss won't give me a raise in these hard times. Okay? Number 2, I don't have a college degree, or I don't have an advanced degree. I don't have an MBA, a PhD, whatever. Okay? And the third one is, I wasn't born rich. Okay? So, since most of Americans who are wealthy now are generally first generation, that's no excuse, right? So let's go back to the book. My success depends on what I do with what I make. So your success depends on what you do with what you make, right? Okay, great. Let's turn the page. Now let's talk about the one that most people don't like. Lifestyles of the working broke. Man, I used to be in that category, boy. That was a tough category to get out. Who would be kind enough to read that caption at the top of the page for me? Lifestyles of the working broke. Someone who has not participated.
I am living so far beyond my income that we may almost be said to be living apart. By Thomas Fuller.
Mm-hmm. And the next one?
My problem lies in reconciling my gross habits and with my net income. Ernest Hawkins.
There you go. So here's what I want you to do. On the left-hand side, these are what we call hash marks, okay? As we read through these, if this applies to you, check it off, okay? So if it applies to you, first one, spend more than they earn. These are people who are broke. They spend more than they earn. They are the masters of credit card and interest-free type programs. You ever seen those people with late-night commercials? You know what? I used to be one of those. Okay? Second one, all hat, no cattle. All hat, no cattle. And people ask me, what does that mean? Well, if I have a cowboy hat and I have a big boots, but I don't have any, cow back at the ranch, how do I eat? Well, in the urban vernacular, I got the big house, brand new car, don't have any furniture, can barely pay my mortgage on time. We don't know anybody like that, right? Rapid foreclosures going across the country. People want to blame it on the subprime mortgage. At the same time, we have to take personal responsibility as well, right? Nobody forced us to sign on that dotted line. We forced ourselves because of our desire to have, correct? Okay, so let's move right ahead. They spend first, and what do they save? Is there anything left when you spend first? Absolutely not. So spend first and save what's left. Nothing. Okay? The next one. Ignore church and charity. Ignore church and charity. Then, you know what the broke people do? They buy on impulse. What did we just talk about? That new gadget just came out that we almost all bought, myself included. We buy on impulse because that's what we are. We're creatures of habit. We want something right now, okay? Then when we buy on impulse, how do we buy it, everybody? We use credit to live above our means. Do we ever always pay cash? Absolutely not, because that's not what you've been taught, okay? Now, we're renting when we should be buying. We're renting when we should be buying. And here's the one going back to that urban vernacular. House poor. House poor. Got a big house, really can't afford anything else. But look good, smell good, and struggling every day. Okay? Quiet desperation. Continuous car payments. Continuous car payments. Man, it feels so great not to have a car payment. How many people like to be in that program? Hey, man, that's a phenomenal program. You roll up, hey, until the wheels fall off my car, I'm not going to have a car payment. That's right. Now, here's a big one. How many people by show of hands are married? By show of hands? Okay. Husband and wife not working together. Husband and wife not working together. Do you know that generally in households, one person is a spender, one person is a saver? They're generally not the same people. So if you don't have that conversation as you're moving forward in your marriage, that could be things that cause a rift. Okay? Now, raising children without an effective plan. How many people in here have children by show of hands? Okay? Did anybody show you how to raise them financially? No. Okay, so let's go to the illustration here. The cost of raising a child born in 2002 to the age of 18. Two-parent household income under $39,000, it's going to cost you $127,000 to raise one child. Okay? Two-parent household income of $66,000, you're going to invest $173,000 per child. Okay? If you make over $66,000 in two-parent household, you're going to spend over $250,000. Now let me ask you a question. Why are there such a great gap between the income levels and how much money is spent on their children? Yeah. Ever heard, I want my kids to have a better, experience than I had. Instead of buying, ABC, Mark, I get the name brand. Even though it may be the same thing, but, we feel compelled. But who's projecting that image to us? The commercial guys, the merchandisers, the retailers. That's not you. So here it says the amounts in $2,002 do not include the cost of 4 years of college. This is just to put your kids from K through 12, and that comes from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, MSN money. Okay? So why aren't we giving people classes about that? All right? So let's go back to the book real quickly. Now, not following a written financial plan. They're going to say, man, Dale, you're just beating this into our head. Something about the plan. Again, who wants to get on a plane with an airline pilot and a co-pilot not following the plan? Not I. Who wants to go to the hospital and talk to a doctor who's not following procedures? Not I. But what are we doing with our finances? The exact opposite. We're following all kinds of things without a plan, right? So let's go to the book real quickly. Paying more taxes than necessary. How many people like to pay less taxes this year? By raise your hand. Okay, let me give you some advice. If you don't change what you're doing today, you're going to pay more taxes tomorrow. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, so let's go to the book. Over premium and underinsured. Over premium and underinsured. So what do I mean by that? There's a variety of different ways we're being taxed. Do you know when you go to the gas station, there's a tax on gas? There's a tax on food, right? There's a tax on a lot of things. Everything that you do is taxed. The question is, how savvy are you about how to lower the cost of things that you're being taxed on? Your homeowner's insurance, your car insurance. Do you go and ask them for a discount for being a good customer? Is there a good customer discount? Hey, why not ask, right? Does that make sense? Common sense, right? Okay, next one. No will or estate plan. No will or estate plan. So you don't want to have your people or your kids, in a negative situation and pass it half. Did I skip one? Oh, so y'all paying attention? Okay, which one did I skip? All right.
We skipped the third one, is there?
Yeah,
Skip the third
Oh,
one.
okay. All right.
And the last one.
Oh, see, y'all paying attention. I want to make sure. Yeah. Direct discretionary spending towards purchasing things. Purchasing things. I do that intentionally, see if you're paying attention. And the other one I think I skipped was excessive smoking, drinking, and gambling. So I don't want to bring those up because those usually, those are very sensitive spots. People, hey, don't tell me how to spend my money. Don't tell me if I like to drink a little, smoke a little. That's my business. Yeah, you're right. Okay, now, did we get that? No will or estate plan? Now, if a person says, I'm going to do this tomorrow, I'm going to get around to it, I'll check it out later, what is that? Procrastination. That's the last one, procrastination. That's your biggest enemy, procrastination. Guess what? I got up this morning, I said, man, I got to be here at the credit union. I said, I'm not used to getting up at this early in the morning. But, I could have said, I'll do it tomorrow. Then guess what would have happened? Man, there'd be a lot of mad people, wouldn't it? So I could have used that excuse, but I didn't. So here's the bottom line, ladies and gentlemen. I can avoid making financial mistakes by focusing on my priorities. By focusing on my priorities. Okay? Is that good stuff? All right, let's move right along and let's turn the page. Guess what we're going to talk about? Your priorities. All right, who will be kind enough to read that caption for me about defining my priorities?
Most people struggle with life balance simply because they haven't paid the price to decide what is really important to them. Sam Walton.
Now, who is Sam Walton? Walmart.
Oh, yeah.
How many people like to be, heir of the Walmart people? Billions
like
and billions
Sam.
of dollars, right? Now, if Sam said it, you think you ought to take his advice, even though he's not longer with us? In the top 20 people, the wealthiest in the world, his family has been in the top 10 every year since I've been collecting data over the last 10 years. Every year. Never had to work. How would you like to set your kids up that way? It's all possible, with a plan. So,
Walmart, you can't go in there and buy one thing.
there you go. See, he figured you out. All right, so let's talk about people tend to spend time and money on what most excites them. What most excites them. You don't want to spend stuff on stuff like, car insurance and school bags. That ain't sexy. But go to Hawaii, go to the game, go to the play. That's what's happening. You spend more time doing that. They say statistically, people spend about 10 times more of their time and money on vacation than they do on planning their financial success. Think about it. Last time you went on vacation, how far in advance did you plan? Did you get all your work done here at the job? Make sure you ain't have to come back to you? Yeah, see? All right. So tell you what, here's what we're going to do. I must become excited about funding the right priorities. I must become excited about funding the right priorities. So in the book, again, on the left-hand side, this is going to be, on the right-hand side, I keep saying the left-hand side, it's going to be some hash marks, okay? What I want you to do is I want you to number them in terms of importance from 1 to 11, okay? And on the right-hand side, you're going to write down which of them are important to you. So to give you an example, you can say emergency savings, that could be a 1 because it's very important, and also protect my family can be a number 1. But today, if you didn't get it done today, that's where the left-hand side will be. I have to have this as number 1 done today. Does that make sense? So take about 30 seconds, circle the ones that are important to you, and then number them from 1 to 11, which ones are most important if I got them done today and they didn't happen. Okay? Because this is how you're going to get out of debt. And this is how you're going to get to that pom-pom lifestyle. By having these right in front of your, windshield. Like when you come to work every day, you're looking out the front of the windshield, not out the back. So the priorities need to be in the front, and the other stuff needs to be in the back. Okay? All right. When you guys are done, just look up, and now I'd ask you to share with us what are some of your priorities, top priorities right now that we can help you accomplish some goals and some objectives. I see some serious faces in there. Never seen people work so hard for their future. Okay. Who would like to share one with us? Anyone?
Emergency savings.
Emergency savings. How much would you like to have? How many months would you like to have? 3, 6,
3.
12? Okay, good, good.
At least 3.
At least 3. Yours?
College for a child.
Okay, good stuff, good stuff. Anybody else?
Secure retirement.
Secure retirement. What would that look like? What kind of number? Have you seen this other commercial where the guy's walking around with their retirement number on their side? Have you seen that one? And the other guy, he's cutting his hedges and said, man, mine's a gazillion. He said, you haven't even put any time towards it, have you? He's like, oh no. Okay, that's good stuff. But guess what? If you start focusing the mind on it, guess what? It can happen with a plan, right? Okay, so let's go down to the bottom. If you have something that we didn't put in there that's important to you, fill it in, okay? We don't know everything. But here's the bottom line on this one. Financial success requires, and this is a bad word, financial discipline. Financial discipline. Financial discipline. My grandfather said, Dale, tell you what, you're either going to have 2 things to do in life. Somebody's going to discipline you, or you're going to discipline yourself. The best outcome is discipline yourself. I said, yeah, I'm going to follow that, Gramps. All day and twice on Sunday, okay? All right, so let's turn the page. Moving right ahead. Let's talk about the rule of 72 and compound interest. Now, this can be your best friend or your worst enemy, okay? So I'm going to read this one for you. The most powerful force in the universe is compound interest. Albert Einstein. Now, being at the credit union, you guys know, interest, pays your salaries, right? Yeah. But at the same time, are you building up interest to pay for your savings and your investments and your kids' future and your emergency savings? If you're not, guess what? No big deal. But after today, you should, with help, right? Make sense? All right, so here's what we want to do. Let's look up here at the top at what we call the rule of common sense. I'm going to tell you how the average person thinks. Now, if you save $2,000 today with a return of 3%, in 48 years, you have $8,000 in the bank. Now, how many people by show of hands can live off of $8,000 in 48 years? No one. Man, no way. Okay. Now, common sense would say that in today's dollars, that 3% savings over 48 years would be $8,000. Okay? So in your book, on the first one here, that first column, you're just going to fill that in. So at the 24th year, you're going to get $4,000. At the 48th year, you're going to put $8,000. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to teach you how to use the rule of 72. So what you do in the rule of 72 is you take the number of interest, which is 3%, and you divide it into the number 72. That'll tell you how quickly your money will double for you. Okay? Make sense? All right, now what if you got a 6% return on your investment across the board? You'd have $16,000. Is that better than $8,000? Absolutely. So in your book, you're going to go here, 6% divided in 72 is 12. So every 12th year, your money will double. Okay? Make sense? All right. Now let's say you were wise enough to get a 12% return. You were working with your 7 spheres of money team in the life program, and you got $32,000 in your pocket. Is $32,000 better than $8,000? Absolutely. So guess what? And every 6th year, your money's going to double. Okay? Now, 18%. How many people get 18%? You know who's getting 18%? The banks, the financial institutions, not normally us, the credit cards, right? So with that said, you get $48,000. So that's common sense, but that's not always the right way to go about it. So let's show you how the rule of 72 really works. So it is exactly correct on the first illustration that 3% does double twice in 48 years to $8,000. So you have that in your book, right? 6% return is going to double every 12th year. Okay? So you have $32,000. Okay? Everyone see that? Now, let me ask someone a question. Can you tell me what that number will be at 6% if your money doubles every 6 years? Can somebody give me the answer to that? Your money's going to double every 6 years. Just double that number every 6 years and put your answer in the book. And then ask yourself a question. Do you want the rule of 72 or you want the rule of common sense working for you? Anybody want to answer that question before I show you the answer? How many people like to have $500,000 in their savings in 48 years? Would that be good?
Yes.
Guess what I know? How many people, parents had $500,000 in their savings? Nobody, because you're all still here. Now, what's that far right corner says? Debt. Now, what does the debt man know about you and I? And this is if you're paying the average rate of return and not paying off your balance. Now again, if you had a $5,000 credit card debt and you make the minimum payment, it will take you 39 years to pay that minimum payment off, and you will pay over 3 times back to the creditor.
Dang.
Yeah, so that's 8 million reasons why you should start getting a little bit more disciplined about your money. Does that make sense? Because who knows your habits best? You or them? They do. Absolutely. So, here's the question for you. Is compound interest in your life working for you or against you? So here's your first homework assignment, ladies. I want you to go home tonight and find out how much of your money is working for you, and then conversely find out how much money is working against you. So take all the stuff that you're making right here in your cash flow and your personal net worth, and then go down here to your debt part and see how much debt you're servicing. Okay? Because that's the only reason why you're going to control your life. Either one of those two are working for you or against you. So hopefully it is working for you. If it's not, then we need to get together and sit down and help you show you how it can work for you in the future. Does that make sense? And then last but not least, the bottom line here, use compound interest to my advantage or my benefit. Use compound interest to my advantage or my benefit. Is that some good stuff? All right, so let's turn the page and let's talk about knocking out the debt. How many people want to knock the debt out? All right. Good stuff. Michelle, you be kind enough to read that caption for me at the top of Winning the War on Consumer Debt, please.
80% of all households have at least one credit card, Consumer Federation of America. Revolving debt, which is almost entirely credit card debt, increased from $554 billion to $730 billion between 1997 and 2000. Federal Reserve Bulletin 2002. The average credit card debt for households that carry a balance is more than $10,000. Consumer Federation of America.
Wow. There's a lot of savvy people in the world getting in debt, aren't there? So, let's go to the book real quick and let's show you how to knock the debt out. Controlling your debt. Corporations want to get me into debt and keep me there forever. They don't want you to pay off that debt because they make no juice, okay? Second thing, learn to control the urge to charge and spend. Learn to control the urge to charge and spend. Cancel all store account credit cards, okay? Their rates are higher. If you got to use a credit card, use MasterCard, Visa, Discover Card. Don't use Target. Don't use Walmart because their rates are higher. Okay? They're using the same bank. Okay? Make sense? You know what they do? They give you that incentive. I give you 10% off and you get the card, but what do they know? You're never going to pay that off. Okay? So, next one, perform plastic surgery on all but one emergency credit card. And if you're married, you and your spouse should have one credit card apiece. Okay? If you own a business and you're married, you should have 3 credit cards because you shouldn't commingle your funds. Okay? Does that make sense? All right? So, shut down credit card offers by opting out. The number is right there in the book. How many people knew that you can opt out on those, extra credit card applications coming to your house? Now, here's a rule of thumb. If you already have an account with MasterCard, they will continue to send you because you're a customer of theirs. But if you don't have an account with Discover Card, call the opt-out number. You have 2 ways to opt out, for 5 years or for life, by calling that number and answering some questions. Okay? Make sense? I eliminate a lot of that trash in my mailbox. Get rid of it. Save some trees. Okay? All right. So, let's talk about this one. My freedom debt date is, anybody know? You know when I knew mine was? December 1, 2002. So when I was living in Chicago full time, and it was 140 degrees below zero, and I looked up at my debt freedom date and said I didn't want to go to work, I looked up, I said, man, December 1, 2002, I'm going to be totally debt free if I just get my butt up and go do what I got to do. And by doing that, I got totally out of consumer debt. Isn't that something? Don't have to make $1 million to live like a millionaire. You know what the reality is? If you're totally debt free and you manage your income, you can live wealthy at $50,000. If you want to live opulent lifestyle at 100 grand, totally debt free, managing your debt completely zero, you can live better than 98% of people on this planet. Trust me. I know because I do. Okay? All right. So let's give you an example about how people know your habits better than you. Okay? Let's look at this illustration here. Financial World. This is an old magazine that came out, but anybody know what CEO stands for? Chief Executive Officer. Well, here in the learning class financial institution, we call that Chief Entrapment Officer or Credit Entrapment Officer. How about that? Okay? Why do I say that? Because here's what happened. This guy, A. Martinez, was the CEO of the year for Sears. And you know why he was the CEO? Because back in 1993, Sears raised their annual interest rates 21% nationwide, and they made an extraordinary amount of money from 70% of their cardholders who chose a revolving form of payment. Anybody know what a revolving form of payment means? That means you never pay the balance in full, you always pay the minimums. So much so that the last time they broke out the credit card earnings in 1993, while merchandising accounted for $436 million and profit, the credit card rang in a massive $706 million. What business was Sears in? They were in the credit card business, right? Now, not just to pick on them, let's go to another company called Jacques Penney. Ever heard of Jacques Penney? Yeah. Now look at this. Look at the amazing marketing tools that they use. We've lowered our scheduled monthly payments by nearly 75%, ladies. That means on a regular charge balance of $500, your payment used to be $60. Now under the new loan rate of 3%, you pay only $15 for your first scheduled monthly payment. And what does this line down here at the bottom say? Can you read that for me?
Once a day.
That's right. Because what do they know about you and I? You're never going to pay that balance in full. You're going to be in debt with them forever, and your kids and your kids' kids. That make sense? All right. So, who should be the commander of your habits, them or you? You. All right? Let's go back to the book, all right? All right, let's talk about debt consolidation acceleration. Consolidate high-interest consumer debt into a home equity loan, which may be tax deductible. Now, I'm saying if it's applicable, okay? If it's not applicable, we don't do it. There's another way to get out of debt, okay? Now, continue to make the same total payment at a lower rate will accelerate your debt freedom. Continue to make the same total payment at a lower rate will accelerate your debt freedom, okay? Accelerate your debt freedom date by applying the same payment each month to a decreasing number of accounts. So, here's how we do it, real simple. If you look up here at the illustration, it says the JCPenney account was $350, right? So, should we go after the big debt first or go after the little debt first?
The big deal.
That's what common sense says. Because that's so hard and pressing on us is really the little debt. And here's why. Because if you go after the big debt and then you miss a payment, do you get discouraged and stop? Absolutely. But if you go after the little debt and knock it down, you have that victory that empowers you and pushes you up, say, I can get this done. Because time goes by just like that. And that's how I got out of debt. I went after the little stuff first. I used to have a little small credit card that was like $900, and I kept paying the minimum payment. I looked up, I said, man, I've been paying this like 5 years, but I still owe $900. So one day I opened up a book and I read it and said, man, that interest, $5,000, 39 years. I said, wow, I'm on that track. I went to my bank, got a check out, wrote it out, put it in, and I was like, wow. Next thing I know, I started rolling the debt down. So what you do is, you take the top one, pay off the $350, take that payment, add it to the next one. Then add it to the next one. But here's what you also do. You reward yourself. So if you paid off the first one, go to the movies, go to Bath & Beyond, go to Victoria's Secret, whatever. Enjoy that little experience because guess what? That was a monthly payment you were making. So if you don't have it any longer, how much money did you just put in your pocket? Put enough to pay down some more debt and also to reward yourself. Make sense? But if you go after the big boy first and you stumble, guess what? You're going to quit the whole program. Would you agree with that? All right, so let's go back to the book real quick. Okay? Where was that? You keep me on track here. All right. Credit report. Your credit score may determine the interest rate you pay on loans, right? Do you also know your credit report determines the jobs you get, right? It determines where you live nowadays. It's a determining factor in everything you do. Now, here's what I want to share with you. Maintain a credit score